Good morning to all, and a very warm welcome to our webinar today. Thank you very much for joining us. We're very proud to be official partners of the European Agency for Health and Safety in the Workplace's ongoing campaign on safe and healthy work in the digital age. By promoting the campaign's priorities, digital platform work, advanced robotics and artificial intelligence, remote work, smart digital systems, and worker management through artificial intelligence, we find it crucial to create a forum for discussion with relevant stakeholders to address the concerns of both workers and employers amidst the digital transformation. Retail and wholesale has a very long standing practice of integrating technology. For decades, our sector has harnessed technology, deploying a diverse range of algorithms. The Draghi report that was released yesterday recognizes the role that a sector like ours can play in scaling up technology and skills in Europe. Retailers and wholesalers have been using and will continue to use technologies, and this also benefits employees. As mentioned in the report by Mario Draghi on Europe's competitiveness, embracing technology, including digital technology, is essential to help us address increasing labor market pressures arising in particular from demographic change, but also help alleviate the burden of repetitive and physical tasks. In our sector, new technologies can simplify tasks, for example, for older employees, aid those with disabilities, and support workers in handling complex and or physical tasks. For example, by freeing up time and energy from repetitive tasks, automate stock tracking, help identify when rest breaks are needed, limit human intervention in hazardous areas such as heavy lifting, etc. It is very important for all of us to address the concerns of workers when rolling out digital transformation through consultations, ensuring that they're not just familiar with the technology, but they're also confident in understanding its operation and in using it. And in this, social dialogue plays a very important role. It is equally essential to listen to the employer's concerns, who, aside from potentially experiencing a gap in the legal knowledge related to deploying artificial intelligence, may be apprehensive about its safe use, including potential risks such as data misuse or leaks. Today, we aim to highlight the work of our members and hear about their challenges and concerns regarding employee well-being amid digital transformation. It will also be an opportunity to gain insight from the work of the European agency OSHA and the Commission in promoting and ensuring health and safety in the workplace. So let's enjoy a very important and interesting conversation this morning.
So thank you, Christel. Thank you for the introduction. For those that do not know me, I am Lena Whitaker and I am a director here at EuroCommerce. And I will be moderating today's session. And from now until 11:30, we will have a nice deep dive on the retail and wholesale sector. So why we're speaking about this topic is what Christel mentioned. It's because EuroCommerce is an official partner of the EU-OSHA Healthy Workplaces campaign. And right now, the focus is on automation of tasks. So what we would like to do is just begin actually to understand what is this campaign, why it was considered necessary. And to do so, I would like to introduce Mr. Ioannis Anifantis. He is the research project manager in the Prevention and Research Unit of the European Agency for Safety and Health at Work. He's been working on a variety of digital topics, looking at new and emerging risks that come with digitalization and its many aspects. So, Ioannis, perhaps I can hand over to you, and I think you will lead us through a presentation that will also help bring everybody up to speed on where you are. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Lina, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ioannis Anifandis, and I work as a research project manager at EU-OSHA. EU-OSHA, for those of you who are not aware of, is the European Agency for Occupational Safety and Health. We are established in Bilbao, Spain, and we work to make European workplaces safer, healthier, and more productive for the benefit of everyone. In order to achieve that, we have a number of different tools and activities, such as, for example, research projects. Some of you may have seen Napo, this cartoon-style character, in order to present in a nice graphical way topics on occupational safety and health. We conduct surveys like the SNR survey, the European Survey on New and Emerging Risk. We develop tools in order to assist especially small and medium enterprises to conduct an effective risk assessment, like the tool OIRA for a wide variety of areas and that cover a wide variety of risks. And finally, we every 3 years we run a campaign on a special topic, putting the focus on occupational safety and health on areas like musculoskeletal diseases or psychosocial risks. In the current campaign, the topic of this current campaign that started last year actually and will run till next year, till 2025, is digitalization. Digital technologies have actually revolutionized our lives. During the last couple of decades, we can see technologies like artificial intelligence or big data that are penetrating both our personal life but also our working life. And digitalization, with all these abilities and opportunities that offers, have the potential to change actually jobs, to create new jobs, to create new occupations, to change the way that things are done in a number of sectors, change industries, create new industries, change the way that tasks are performed by humans, and actually change the whole way that we perceive work. Nowadays, we are talking about platform work, gig economy, remote work, and so on. Based on the findings of some of the surveys that we have conducted during the last few years, there are several areas and sectors on which digital technologies and advanced robotics have been used quite extensively, and the trends look that this introduction of new technologies and advanced technologies in order to automate tasks like advanced robotics will continue to increase for the next few years. And naturally, this introduction have several implications for occupational safety and health. So based on another survey that we conducted, we can see that nowadays 5.5% of the workers are utilizing artificial intelligence-based systems, systems that actually do not perform in a standard way like the standard machines that we used to have, but have the ability to learn and perform tasks not only physical but also cognitive. And 3% of these robots actually interact with the workers. So nowadays we can have workers working together with a robot, with what we call it collaborative robots or cobots. And 1/4 of these workers are young workers, actually. At EU-OSHA, we identified the challenges, apart from the opportunities of working with these systems and having these systems in the actual workplace. So apart from the apparent opportunities that are presented for all sectors, including the retail and wholesale sector, we try to identify some challenges and risks that could be associated with the introduction of this kind of technologies. So starting in 2018, we started a foresight study. And after the completion of this foresight study, we initiated a big research program that included 5 different areas for these systems. These areas were the advanced robotics and AI-based systems for the automation of tasks, new forms of worker management through AI-based systems, occupational safety and health, and the impact that the development of digital platform work could have on it. The smart digital systems that are used to monitor occupational safety and health and provide opportunities in order to minimize risk in the workplace, or, for example, provide a warning when a high risk situation may come up. And finally, telework and remote work. And for every one of these 5 areas, we conducted an extensive research. And apart from that, following collaboration with organizations involve stakeholders, but also the industry, we developed several case studies. As with regards to automation, several years ago, during the previous century, we had machines that were used mainly in the industry in order to automate specific tasks, the majority of which were physical tasks. So we had a robotic arm that could paint, for example, a car, or lift a heavy part for the worker, or a welding machine, and so on. However, based on the development of new technologies and the development of artificial intelligence, nowadays we can have tasks that are becoming, could also be cognitive tasks. So we can have a chatbot nowadays, and we can actually ask questions to this machine, and the machine could reply to this. Or we can have a software that that is capable of recognizing in a CT scan areas that could be potentially of high risk for the development of a tumor or so on. So these kind of tasks, and the trend is, as technology will advance, are not clear cut, and we have on one hand physical manipulation, cognitive tasks, but also in the middle a number of tasks that require both physical abilities and cognitive abilities by the machine as well. In order to be able to categorize and identify the implications for occupational safety and health, during the time that we started the research, we found out that it was very challenging task, because the technology was developing really, really fast. Just think about that on 2018 that we started this research, technologists are like ChatGPT were not even there. We could not even think of this kind of technologies. And nowadays, it is common knowledge for many people. And since we are not fully aware of what the development of the technology may bring in the future, we try to develop this kind of technology in order to categorize all systems, either existing systems or systems that will be developed in the future, and try to identify the implications that these areas could have for occupational safety and health. So in this taxonomy, we have included AI-based systems and non-AI-based systems, but intelligent systems. We have categorized tasks as either physical or cognitive. We have considered task characteristics like routine tasks or non-routine tasks. And also we have included in this categorization the fact that some of these machines can be used either to assist the users and the workers in the workplace, or substitute the actual worker from performing this particular task. In any case, this task approach is very important in terms that we consider that every job consists of a number of tasks. So the machines will be able to automate some of the tasks which are included in the job. So we're not talking about a machine that will fully replace a worker in the workplace, but will automate part of the job, will automate just some tasks that are performed by the worker. The main areas which were identified based on our research, apart from the retail and wholesale sector, because already you know some applications that can be used in this sector as well, were the manufacturing sector, transportation and storage, human health and social work activities, professional, scientific and technical activities, and construction. And some examples of these systems that are actually in operation today in many organizations, probably in some of your organizations as well, is the assembly of the assembly using parts or lifting of objects. Imagine that quality control could be performed much easier when a smart robotic arm is holding a heavy equipment, and this becomes particularly important nowadays with the aging working force, based on the figures coming from Eurostat in Europe. Autonomous guided vehicles that are moving material, autonomous cleaning are used in autonomous cleaning and disinfection. We have systems that are used for video and image analysis, and in many cases for medical diagnosis. And at this point, because there is a lot of discussion about the ethical implications of all these are systems that are assisting actually the physicians in diagnosis. We're not talking about systems that are performing diagnosis by their own. They can be used for inspection and maintenance of infrastructure, especially for remote infrastructure and remote places, visual detection of objects, and finally worksite inspection for risks. So imagine we would have a drone, let's say, in some warehouses or in an offshore platform that will inspect the workplace for forgotten tools that could probably create a risk for the operation of the facility or for the workers. And after that, we went a step further, and we developed 16 case studies presenting this kind of automations in actual workplace today, coming either from Europe or from the rest of the world. And in order to better demonstrate this, we developed these cartoon-style representations in order to describe the technology and the automation in a nice and easy way to understand for everybody. In order to develop these case studies, we conducted interviews with all involved parties in the enterprises, like workers, managers, occupational safety and health officers, um, worker representatives, as well as IT people from cybersecurity. So, an application that could be applied in the workplace referring to physical tasks could be, for example, a robotic arm that can be used in order to perform on-demand production, minimizing the need for a large warehouse. These kind of machines can be used in order to automate also quality control and improve efficiency of the organization as well. That at the same time minimize a number of risks for the workers. For example, risks associated with musculoskeletal disorders in this case. And for each one of these case studies, as you can see, we have, apart from the extensive list of challenges and opportunities for occupational safety and health, we are presenting in the same cartoon style representation the impact for occupational safety and health, at least some of the impact, two challenges normally and two opportunities. The same case studies were developed equally for cognitive tasks. So in here we can see a software and someone that is operating a software in order to analyze some samples, some fibers, and classify or filter these fibers according to the material or according to size. Before that, all these tasks were performed by people who were sitting behind the screen and were looking at images for 8 hours per day. Now we can have the system that can identify uh, uh, these high risk particles, and the person, the human, will only verify actually the final output of these particles. So it will reduce the time that was spent on screen, and will reduce her or his workload, and she or he will be able to perform more creative tasks in the workplace. On these case studies, we try to dig deeper into the motivation, what motivated these enterprises in order to introduce technology in the workplace. And this is very important because in many cases, the motivation comes from the need to reduce exposure to risks. Of course, in other cases, there were the motivation came from increased efficiency and effectiveness that was associated with um, economic measures for production as well. This could increase also workers' interest in the industry. It could help the industries to organize production, change the organization procedures, and implement production schemes like just-in-time or lean production. Make the process of manual image analysis optional now, and the person will only verify the final result, and also make the workplace more ergonomic. In our studies, there are several challenges and opportunities associated with occupational safety and health. The main points that I would like to mention is that these systems have a great potential to minimize physical workload and improve health. Um, they can help in accident prevention. On the other hand, upskilling of workers is a key part for the introduction of these systems, because workers should be trained in order to effectively work with these systems. And upskilling is a good thing, of course, for the workers, but also it could create stress and cognitive workload for the workers as well. It was the fear of job loss, because when these kind of systems are actually initially introduced in the workplace, the workers may fear that this system will replace them in their tasks. Uh, However, clear provision of information and communication on the purpose for installing this machine actually was found to reduce the fear of job loss for the workers. Uh, all the detailed effects for occupational safety and health are presented in our research in detail. And all these could be categorized actually in three main areas. It is the physical effects for occupational safety and health, that the introduction of these automation systems can have in the workplace, the psychosocial effects, and finally the organizational effects, because when introducing this kind of technology in the workplace, it is not like installing a new coffee machine, but it changes the whole way that work is conducted in the enterprise. And in our research, we also try to identify the impact for the different level of actors that have to do with policy making, the management of occupational safety and health in the workplace, employers and workers, as well as for the labor inspection and the labor inspectorates. Currently, legislation is that has to do with occupational safety and health is developing, and we have the machinery regulation that was issued last year. Currently, we have the development of the AI Act, and some more legislative provisions are currently in development. And apart from that, in a number of countries, there are national policies, strategies, and programs, especially in those countries that are more industrialized and make use of these systems, even though during the last few years we can see that more and more of these systems are also penetrating more areas and more countries in Europe. So some key takeaways that are the outcome of our research is that in order to automate a task, we need to carefully select which tasks to be automated. To that end, our motto is that companies should not automate just for the sake of automation. Proper training and upskilling of workers is needed. Information, communication, and transparency coming from the management, but also a two-way communication channel is needed in order to effectively communicate all these things to workers, and workers provide effective feedback to the management. Workers' involvement is a key issue for the successful introduction of the technology and accepting the new technology in the workplace. There are regulation and enforcement considerations, and there is a need for a comprehensive risk assessment tool. In order to assist especially small and medium enterprises to perform an effective risk assessment, we are currently developing an OIRA tool that is including this kind of systems that have the potential to automate physical and cognitive tasks. So the overall conclusions of our research is that a human-centered approach is needed, and worker participation is crucial in order to effectively introduce these systems in the workplace, because still these systems have to work with workers. We do not have fully automated workplaces. That workers should preserve job control and autonomy in order to avoid things like having people competing with the machines, or having the machines performing the creative part of the job and the persons will just assist the machine. That digital risks should be considered in the workplace risk assessment. Humans should be in command in every case, and that data that have to do with the workers should be minimized and only use the minor data that are needed in order for these systems to operate effectively. These are the five priority areas of our campaign. As I mentioned, currently we are on the second priority area that will run till the end of the month, and next month the third priority area will start, that have to do with remote and hybrid work. I invite you to visit our workplace and download all the material, the reports, case studies, policy briefs, many things on digitalization. And also I invite you to visit OSH Barometer, that where you can find a lot of information in terms of the way that new and emerging risks actually can change, apart from digitalization, can affect the workplace, trends based on previous data, some forecasts, and I have included in here some links in order to easier visit all these websites. That's it from my side. I try to be brief and try to condense around 4 years of research and work in a 20-minute presentation. So back to you, Lina, and I will be happy to answer any questions, because I'm sure that there may be some questions from the audience.
Thank you. And thank you so much for taking us through 4 years condensed. I can see already, I mean, the words that stuck out to me were certainly change, the fact that uptake is increasing, it's quality control, it's efficiency, it's two-way communication. I mean, it's a huge volume, and it's great to see this campaign as well that's helping people on that journey. So listening to you, it's clear that there's many opportunities and there's risks, and it's the management of that risk. And from your many, many interviews, just one question, I mean, you've touched on it already, but what really were the main concerns raised by employers that were looking to introduce automation into the workplace?
I would say an initial concern and a major concern is the initial cost of investment, because these systems at that point are not systems that can easily be installed, and are systems that can be found and applied in a cheap way. Apart from that, they are really concerned about the organizational implications, because, as I mentioned, these systems are not simple systems that can be introduced in the workplace. They are changing the whole way that work is conducted in there. And in cases that these systems interact with workers, they are not sure how to more effectively introduce these systems. So we have seen that they need information coming from and experience coming from other companies that have implemented these kind of systems. And that was one of the reasons that we developed these case studies. And finally, it is workers' acceptance, because these systems should still work together with the workers in the workplace. That's why worker participation and the communication of all these issues with the workers was found to be a key issue.
Thank you. I think this really sums up also a little of what we've been hearing. And for those who've been following the Draghi report, is that there is now potential when we start looking at all of these technologies, but there's many different things that need to be brought in to introduce them. So I think what's important is that we now continue and discuss all of those concerns, the risks, the opportunities. And to do so, I would like to introduce our panel. We will be discussing how new technologies have been deployed in retail and wholesale for companies of all sizes, large and small, how workers' knowledge of risks and opportunities is improved, how they can be included in the rollout, the legal framework, and also how to encourage this uptake to deal with that workers' acceptance that you've just heard and not fear it. So we do have a slight change to the program, that we have one additional speaker that very kindly has stepped in at the very last moment. So Veronica Heindel will join us from Barway as well, with the panel members that you've just seen. So I will probably just take everybody through this. So just to start really with the new speaker we have, Veronica, that it would be nice to introduce you as where you come from, and thank you for stepping in at the last moment. That your company is a supplier and provider of services in agriculture, energy, building materials, and digital solutions. And I understand you deal with a large range of products, from equipment for farms, components for clean energy, and building materials for various different projects. And this makes sure, and your very practical day to day, is that you are operating a number of warehouses that use forklift trucks. So I just wondered if you could just briefly introduce yourself, and also just explain how those technologies have improved the health and safety of forklift drivers in your operations and what difference this has made.
Hello, my name is Veronica. I'm from Munich. I'm from Delberghe AG. And the most impact the new technology has on health and safety at our warehouses and our forklift drivers in the BayWa world is, of course, decrease the number of incidents, especially collisions. We live after the theme healthy employees in a safe working environment. So we want to increase awareness of safety, especially among our employees who had witnessed a serious accident. We have lots of serious accidents because we have so many forklift drivers, so many different sites. We have public access to the sites. We want to increase the awareness of safety. And for this, we also relieving stress from the drivers through the automatic speed restriction in different zones, especially in times when lots of work, the drivers were stressing and driving faster, trying to make up some time at the cost of safety and their mental health. And we have automated speed zones to stress of working faster. And when more work is there, was eliminated, so they couldn't go faster. So we tried to play a little bit with the speed at the forklifts. So we make sure everyone is safe out there.
Thank you. It seems that it's quite easy to see that it should be welcomed, this technology. It definitely looks like something that improves the situation for workers. So is that the case? Have the changes been welcomed by workers? And we heard just from the last speaker this importance of two-way communication. And when you brought in these technologies, this speed control, did you involve them from the start and let them understand perhaps how they can trust the system, how it will affect their privacy? Perhaps you can tell me more.
Yes, we included them from the start. We have in Germany, the workers, the work council, and the health and safety committee, they were involved in the selection and implementation of the cameras. And also, because we are in Germany, we have the data protection officer, and he makes sure that the workers' right and with the workers' council were not violated. And in the beginning, we tested various systems for the forklifts, and we got feedback from the drivers in order to provide them with our solutions and the systems, and we choose the one which they felt most comfortable with. And then we decided on our AI camera, the Edge AI cam is our solution. And after we selected it, we asked the drivers, where should we attach the screen in the cockpit of the forklift? We tried different positions of the screen, and we tried to find the most suitable one. And we had also some discussions, because someone said, yeah, we don't need a screen, and we get disturbed in our area of sight if we are driving the forklift. And and then we discussed, because the camera would also work without a screen, but we decided we would choose the screen. Also, we had to consider, we had a second screen also in there, but we saw, because they had a task management on there, but because of the driver's health, if they are driving always with the head back, we decided we implement the screen, and so they don't need to drive with their head back and can use the screen, and they could decide it if they want to have it on the right side or on the left side or in the middle in front of the steering wheel. So they were.
So if I hear you correctly, you very much put the worker at the center of this, and it's making sure that it suits them and you get their feedback. You also just mentioned then works council. So this is obviously a much more formal way of consulting as well. Is there anything that you can share about that process and how you work with work councils, and if you see any differences in the different countries that you operate in as well?
We have regular meetings with the work councils. We have our health and safety committees, and each entity of ours has our own work councils. So, and we try to work really close with them. We always put, that's also because our theme is healthy employees in a safe working environment. So we put the employee, the worker, in the middle of our view, because we don't want to get them hurt. So everyone should be able to go to work and come back home as safe as they came to work. So that's why the employee is in our middle, and that's why we are closely working with the work councils and the health and safety committees in each different country we are working in, to be close to the workers and the employees, because the work council are at the site. They are on site, and we are sitting in our office in Munich, and we are not so close as them. So that's really important to have such a strong connection to them and working hand by hand.
Thank you. I think this is also sounds very important, is that you can't do this from remote. So Veronica, thank you very much. I'm going to switch now to another one of our panel members today to just bring in a different experience and perspective. So perhaps I can introduce Marcelina Penacosta, who's a member of the ACT Prevention Advisory Committee, and also has an incredible experience working in health and safety in the workplace, from research to advising to training. So I think the examples you've just heard, as well as also in the earlier presentation, just show how many digital tools can help AI, and AI can enhance health and safety in the workplace. So you're based in Portugal. have companies there been embracing these tools? Or if not, what has been the main concerns?
Well, the first, on behalf of the Confederation of Commerce and Services, I thank you very much for being invited to participate in this webinar. I send all my best regards to all my colleagues and to the people that are listening or seeing us. Well, I have, before enter the subject itself, I would like to say a few notes. We have a code of ethics with SST. That means that this code is made for customers and suppliers, but also for our workers to feel that we are very interested on their behalf on working, because we give them all the opportunities to have health and security protecting them. The second is that we have also a newsletter for all the companies, for all the associations that are our members, each month, that we talk about the subjects that are on discussion. And the last number we made is all about the campaign of EU-OSHA. And this is very important because we touch the companies directly with information that probably they would not receive or they would not look at, because they are working very hard, or they are, well, I don't know, or they don't get to research. And so we give them, here is something that is important for you, that is important for the productivity of your company. So be aware that you should do the best thing that put the workers not with disease, not with problems, not with other problems, that they will not be enough productivity, and so you lose. And that is our message that is always online, say, if you don't care about the health and security of your workers, it's you who lose money. So be careful, do the things, and put the prevention on the first step of your volunteer to be a company that is social and ethical, recognized by the people. The second thing I want to say is that we are participating in the campaign of EU-OSHA and working directly with a focal point. And we are always intervening in the webinars, in the conference, and other things. The second important thing to say is that 99% of the medium and micro and small companies are our members. As that means that 77% of the workers of the sector are on our associations. We won a prize of a program of digital commerce. That is very important for us, because that means that we have been recognized with our effort for the working with helping micro and small companies and medium companies to change the paradigm of the digital transition. Well, let's now start with the subject. It is important that we represent retail and services, and most of the campaign is orientated more for industrial, that of course it is necessary for construction, but they forgot a little about the service. The service companies, no problem. We do prevention. We do our work with these companies, and saying that the prevention is the best thing you should do in order to have more market, more company, more customers, and do better things and improve even your work and the things that you are selling to your customers.
And maybe Marcelino, I can just jump in just where you're taking a pause here, because what I've heard is that certainly knowledge is power, raising awareness, prevention is better than cure. These are very important. And given that now we know that about 40%, I think, according to Eurostat, of people living in the EU are working daily with these digital tools, whether it's computers, smartphones, equipment, and the EU-OSHA campaign has also recognized that sometimes introducing these is maybe led by larger companies, but your experience, you said there's 77% of the workforce are working for the SMEs. Have you seen them taking up and using your knowledge and the information you're sharing to really take up these opportunities, and could they be encouraged to do more, with just bearing in mind as well prevention is better than cure and thinking ahead?
Yes, that is one thing that normally people think that the micro and the small companies, they work as they worked since the very beginning of their start. It's not true. They understand if they want to provide normally the big companies or to export or something like that, they have to have the new technology. They have to understand and learn how to work with this technology. If not, they die. It's so simple as that. If they are able to, instead of a week to give a product a week time, if they do it in 2 days, they will grow. They will grow. The growth is not the most important thing for these companies. What is important is what they want to do, and they can do. And if I want to do, for instance, that with what I own, what I win, is enough for the life of my family. Normally, the micro companies is a family organization, so they are satisfied. What is important is that they will not die, and they will not die if they have these tools. And I think, of course, we don't have numbers, but from our work with these companies, we know that they are very interested, and they ask us, what shall I do for this and that? And this dialogue exists and is very powerful. I would say about the workers, the most important thing for us here is that we don't receive any comply from the union saying that you try to do this or that, this transformation or that transformation in the companies. There are no conflicts and there are no strikes. So that means that our message arrives and things are done. But one thing, we have some doubts about a lot of things. We don't say that this is wonderful, this is the best thing that happened to the world. It is. In fact, it is fantastic that the workers do not do any more heavy works. We have the robots to do that and so on. But let me tell you a short story that a friend of mine who had a very small company, almost a micro company, doing clinic analysis. And suddenly a lot of friends were saying, hey, why don't you buy a robot? Because you cannot support anymore the number of the customer, because it was really good and quick doing giving the results to the people. And once I met him, and he said, I bought the robot, and well, the very first thing, it works 24 hours a day. The second thing is it gives the same quality of results as our people. So I don't want to send that people away. And he made the changes and made new jobs and helped them to learn new tasks, new things. And all of them are very pleased. So it is possible to do the things with this. But, for instance, artificial intelligence, of course, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. But if we are afraid of hackers, why aren't we afraid of the programs that are made by a company, blah, 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 making intelligent artificial for us? Are they ethical, responsible not to put any algorithm to spy us? Because we know that there are people who are very interesting to know what the other company is doing, and they spend all the money that is possible to understand and to copy something that that would improve their merchandise, and the other one falling down.
Well, these are quite interesting topics that actually will bring me quite nicely onto our next speaker, because certainly there is a regulatory landscape that needs to be navigated as well, to understand the risks, the legal risks, the cybersecurity responsibilities, and the whole spectrum that comes with deploying these systems. So, Marcelina, thank you so much for your insights and also the personal reflection there. And I may just move now to our next speaker, who is Jesus Hidalgo, a policy officer at the Health and Safety at Work unit of the European Commission, based in Luxembourg and DG Employment. So going back to this question of, so it is a barrier, but it's also the legal framework in terms of adopting digital solutions is the regulatory landscape. And usually it's a responsibility on the employer to take the measures necessary for health and safety and protection of workers, including prevention operation. And so my apologies. I understand actually that we have a technical hitch, and so we will not be able to switch now straight to the Commission. But if I may, I will just ask Christel some of these questions that come up as well with the opportunities and possibilities that are out there in terms of understanding AI and robotics and what it could mean. The need to have skilled workers ready to be able to take up these technologies. We know that already Eurostat data from 2021 saw that only 54% of EU residents aged between the ages of 16 and 74 possess basic digital skills. And the Commission is obviously, through its last agenda, looking at the digital compass, set some target to try to get 80% of adults having those basic digital skills. So retailers and wholesalers are investing in reskilling and upskilling their workforce so they can be prepared, have this digital literacy as well. And I think everything that has come before us in this discussion today has shown that actually digital technologies are important to health and safety. And in your view, Christel, are retailers and wholesalers doing enough to boost knowledge and skills related to these technologies?
Thank you very much, Lina. And in light of what was said before, I'd like to emphasize again the important potential that retail and wholesale offers in scaling up the digitalization, digital literacy in the European Union, and therefore support the European Union's objectives in terms of increasing digital skills and digital literacy. Retail and wholesale is going through tremendous changes at the moment, and we documented that together with McKinsey about 2 years ago. where it was highlighted, one, the important need in terms of investment in the technological infrastructure, but also the important need in investing in workers and attracting talents. If you want to lead change, you also need to have the workers and the employees that are able to help business go through change. And this is in relation to both very large companies, but also the smaller, very small companies, as our previous speaker has spoken about. Retail and wholesale is changing fundamentally. This is a result of technological change, but it is also under the pressure from global competition and changing consumer behavior. There is no other option, but we have to embrace change as a sector. We also are, as a sector, we are a training engine in Europe. There is a strong record in our sector in training and developing talent to allow upward mobility in individual organizations. Many retailers and wholesalers are prioritizing investing in reskilling and upskilling their workforce, and in particular, as they have been at the forefront of many digital innovation. Today, if you walk in a store, you will see the amount, or you will see, or maybe not see, the amount of digital operations that workers are already taking for granted. This can include the digital price displays, the digital cash registers, the digital ordering systems, or managing the seamless experience that is today expected between online and physical channels. More can be done, but ensuring that workers are comfortable with the digital technology, that needs a collective effort. Retailers and wholesalers have long advocated for improved access to digital education. That includes modern teaching materials and engagement in constructive dialogue to ensure that the curricula match the needs and the demands of the sector. And as a result, encourage a willingness to use the digital tools that can improve health and safety in the workplace. This requires, in particular, fostering familiarity with technology and critical thinking from a very early age, and addressing the implications of the digital tools like algorithms, AI, and automation. Schools and educators need to be equipped for the digital transformation. That includes a comprehensive approach to integrating the technology in education, and that requiring curriculum development, teacher training, and technological resources. So starting early and integrating digital literacy into early childhood education is critical to prepare the students for a technology-driven future and encourage seeing opportunities and use rather than focusing on the uncertainty around the use of technology.
Thank you, Christel. It's a huge area, a lot of things that need to be considered, and huge potential. But this again helps me just go straight back to our speaker that we had some technical difficulties with just a moment ago, to go back to that question as well about the regulatory landscape and how it is that actually the commissioners are having an approach to this. Also knowing that there are rules necessary to protect the safety and health of workers, particularly when it comes to the deployment of AI and the automation of tasks. Perhaps you can give us some insights.
Thank you very much, Lina. And first of all, let me thank you very much, your organization, EuroCommerce, for having invited us to this very interesting webinar. It's really great to be with all of you today. Thank you also to the previous speakers for their excellent interventions and contributions. Well, from our side, let me provide, as you suggested, a short overview on the Commission approach on us in general, and specifically on digital issues in particular, and certainly on AI and automation of tasks. So you know very well the EU policy on health and safety at work is focused on prevention. The focus is to protect, ensuring occupational safety and health of all workers at work, and protecting them against any kind of risks. This is a very, let's say, holistic approach. And in this context, there are some instruments and there are some very useful tools. Risk assessment is probably the key cornerstone for that, especially taking account of the very dynamic nature of risks. So everything related to digitalization is an excellent example of emerging issues, of emerging technologies that are changing progressively our way of working and our way of living somehow. No? In this respect, I would like to underline also, other speakers also did that, we need a balanced approach, because there are many opportunities, many advantages by using these new technologies and artificial intelligence and automation of tasks in particular. But there are also challenges and there are also potential issues. No? We have systematically, we have our professional deformation of focusing only on or mainly on risks and challenges, but we have also to acknowledge that, as other speakers already mentioned, these technologies can remove workers from dangerous tasks and reduce cognitive workload, for instance, and also repetitive or demanding tasks, for instance, preventing musculoskeletal disorders in this respect, as Yanis rightly mentioned. No? So there are not only the OSHA implications, there are the ethical aspects, the aspect of competitiveness. The Draghi's report, of Mario Draghi's report on competitiveness presented yesterday, is an excellent example of this holistic view. So we are well equipped at EU level with, as regards occupational safety and health, of tackling with the potential risks and challenges. The EU legislation covers all kinds of risks, in particular the Framework Directive, together with the specific directives, makes very clear the obligations and the things that have to be done in this respect, and the obligations of employers and the rights of workers. So that's very clear for any kind of issues, any kind of risks, including the digital ones. But as you know, there is a very comprehensive set of prescription or provisions for risk assessment, information of workers, training. So all these provisions fully apply when addressing issues related to digitalization. There are other directives specific, for instance, on the directive on display screen equipment that focus on some specific aspects. And as all of you know, there is the relatively recent Artificial Intelligence Act. As you know, this is the first ever legal framework on EA, which addresses the risk of artificial intelligence and positions Europe to play a leading role globally in this aspect. So this is a very ambitious package of policy measures to support the development of trustworthy AI. And this first ever comprehensive legal framework aims at establishing new roles to foster trustworthy AI in Europe and beyond, and ensuring that AI systems respect fundamental rights, safety, and ethical principles by addressing risk of very powerful and impactful AI models. So to make it short and concise, we consider that we are well equipped But I have to say that, as all of you know very well, legislation is not the only magic bullet we have. We have to provide a comprehensive approach of prevention, in particular as regards occupational safety and health potential issues. And we are very attentive to use all the information, all the resources. The contribution of EU-OSHA, the European Agency for Safety and Health at Work, is essential. Thank you very much, Ioannis, for the excellent overview you provided. And I can assure you that the Commission is using all these excellent materials and policy instruments in order to ensure the better protection of workers. I will stop here for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may just pick up a little bit, I mean, what Ioannis said earlier was that there needs to be worker acceptance, and we've heard about the communication that is happening in practice on the ground. But I also just wanted, I mean, there is, and there always is, a fear of new technologies, and AI in particular. When we hear it could be used for cognitive tasks, this does create that fear as well. And in the package of what you've described, is there something that could be done to address this fear that you could probably explain, and also perhaps also link it? I mean, the Draghi report also, as you mentioned, is putting this a little bit more on the agenda and what perhaps may come in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's certainly a very interesting point, because this fear that some workers feel is part of the, let's say, overall psychosocial spectrum. Ioannis also mentioned very rightly that the psychosocial aspects are one of the very relevant potential impacts of this kind of technologies. And I think we all understand the potential impact of on mental health. And fear is a fear of losing their job, for instance, for many workers, is a legitimate and very understandable element and feeling. And I think we have to dig a little bit more on the deep roots of these elements, no? Because in general, these psychosocial risks, these psychosocial elements can arise due to somehow a misplaced trust, a low level of acceptance, sometimes automation bias or fear of job loss, as you mentioned. And all these elements have to be taken into account. As previous speakers, I think Marcelino and Christel also mentioned, and Veronica certainly, involving workers very actively in the deployment of AI systems is essential, because this is part of the feeling of not losing completely control. You know very well this model of demand and control, and it is very natural that with these technologies, we, especially older workers, because probably younger workers are more familiar with digital technologies. They are native digital native, let's say. But older workers are confronted with challenges of adaptation. And in this context, it may arise this fear that has to be tackled by information, by training, by focus instruments, paying attention to the specific nature of the post and the specific job of everyone. But maybe I will put the emphasis on the involvement of workers and workers' organization in the deployment of this kind of system. That would be my emphasis. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. And just picking up on this involvement, I mean, I would like to just switch back actually to our other speaker, Veronica, again, because part of that involvement, I understand, is the training as well. And I just wondered as well, for you as well, we've talked already, and I think it was mentioned earlier that a quarter of the workers are younger working with robots already, just generally for their first presentation. That I also hope that different generations, the next generation, will also be much more prepared to accept. So, what training and support did you give to your forklift drivers to just also help with the acceptance as well? And just to ask as well, I mean, there's different ranges of workers. And was it the same types of training, or did you see a difference there, a difference in needs or a difference in attitude?
We started with on-site trainings from the manufacturer. And the other thing is we are talking. We are explaining, we are showing them the different systems, how impacts their work, how supports their work, this new technology. Like they have a little bit more of safety with the cameras, and because the chip recognizes people, and then they give warning. And if they are seeing this in real life on the site or on their daily use, they recognize it. They get a feeling for it and then say, yeah, that's a good thing. That helps me. That's not blocking because we are talking with them where we should put the screen. So they accept it more easily. And it also, we started with a few forklifts at a site and not with every forklift at a site, so they can try it out. They get a feeling for it, then they can switch to the old forklift back, and then the next day they are going back to the new one. And so it's a step-to-step process. So we're not going there and say, yeah, from Monday on, every forklift is new. You must use the new one. We are creating a little path and holding a little bit their hands to get to know the new system. We have lots of different cultures and age spectrum on the sites. So for the young people, it's really easy to accept new technology like AI. They are using it in their daily life. But for older employees, it's always something new. And the first thing is, oh, we don't need it. Or we don't want it. So we are talking with them and integrate them in the process of choosing the right software, choosing the right place for the screen, and so on. And then that makes it a little bit easier to get them on board.
Thank you. So if I hear it, it's certainly about familiarity. Let's not jump feet first into something new and working step by step. Thank you, Veronica. I think just to also advise, we will have a little bit of time for questions and answers. So please please do send those in. I just wanted to go back to actually to Ionis to just a little bit pick up on this step-by-step approach. And something that Jesus also said was that when strategies are implemented, there are the fears of job losses as well. Is this something that you have looked at as well as part of the EU-OSHA campaign? And what could help bring these technologies and address this fear that workers may have?
Thank you, Lina. I will fully agree with Jesus and the previous speakers because indeed there is fear of job loss when these new technologies are introduced in the workplace and the workers do not know what this new technology will be about, what will be exactly the part of the job that will be automated, and workers are not effectively consulted during this process. The experience from our research showed that the provision of information to the workers before the actual implementation of the system and the introduction of the system, discussing with them which parts of the job could be automated and the potential benefits that this could have. And indeed, actually, in some cases, in some of the case studies, the motivation to automate some of the tasks was coming from the workers, especially when the more dull or the more high-risk tasks were automated. The establishment of a clear communication channel between the management and the workers and the inclusion of workers' representatives when these new systems are designed could be a good strategy in order to reduce this fear of job loss. Apart from that, I would add that effective training and upskilling of workers would be beneficial because that will allow the workers to work with those machines and understand that probably some tasks will be automated, but some other tasks may be created in that job that may have to do with programming the machine, with simple maintenance of the machine, and so on. Because the world of work is changing, and in the same way, against the fear of job loss, new jobs and new opportunities and new occupations are created as well. And in many cases, we have seen that the new skills that are needed for current workers, it is not like high-end skills. We are not talking about getting an blue-collar worker and make him a programmer. It is just some new simple skills that could be used in order for the workers to effectively work with these machines. And finally, it was efficient and really important to identify the actual tasks and the actual job roles and differentiate these job roles in the workplace that the machine will perform and what the worker will do, in order not to have the workers competing with the machines. In our study, we stress that the human should be in command, that this human-centered approach should be followed in order, ideally, to have only the most creative part of the job for the worker, and this part of the job that present the highest risks to be automated by a machine.
Thank you. I think it reflects again what we were hearing, that it gives an opportunity to free up time and maybe this for more creative tasks, and this with the dialogue, also with the clear channels of communication, can bring workers along with these opportunities to accept them. And so I think we're looking at the time. We have a little bit left now before we end our webinar at 11:30. So I just wanted to go to some of the questions that we managed to collect ahead of this webinar before I come back to our panel members again to just give a few of their closing thoughts. And one question that I would like to ask, and maybe this is something for Marcelino and Jesus to also touch upon, is that SMEs are needing to train employees, but we always understand that they find it much more difficult, perhaps the less resources. And how is it that you are finding that SMEs are managing these challenges? I think the question that's coming in is basically, these may be easy to manage for a large company, but are SMEs being left behind, or are they also managing to train effectively?
Well, I'm sorry, but I have 2 points before that, because one, and I think they are very important, and because I forgot them when I was speaking. Well, but the very first thing I would like to talk about job losses that you said, and my colleague from EU-OSHA told about also. This is one question very important, is not depending on only on us. Of course, we have job losses in some sectors, but the problem is that the government should tell us that where they want to put the economy of the country. What is not happening anymore, because we have economical program of the government each year, and not a provision where we want to put Portugal in 5 years. So the changes will be easier for us, for the employees, and even for the economy. Well, the second thing I want to say is I have tears, and those tears, I didn't show them when I talked. Well, it is like this. The actors, EU-OSHA, the government, the authority of the inspection of labor. All of these three entities talks about micro and small companies, but in fact, they do nothing about that. They don't arrive to the people that they should. We try, and we, for instance, have dialogue with our colleagues from the unions of the workers, asking them how can we arrive to these companies and make even projects of ensemble to do and to arrive to give them the things, but unfortunately all of them, they are not interested. They don't. They just say, they just think about big companies, and in big companies the things are easy to do, and the industry, because it's huge, is the same problem. The other thing I want to say is that about that, for instance, Portugal, we made the green lane that are everywhere in the European countries. We made at the ATM, so we have capacity to do and to improve new things. For instance, when the ATM started, the people were saying, okay, there is a lot of bank employers that are going to have job loss. It was really, in fact, some of them did, but the other ones were converted for other tasks in the bank. And the bank, because they didn't have that people coming inside every minute, because the people want to go to the machine to have to pick up some money, they could improve more market. They could do better things. So I'm not saying that there is no job losses. I am honest on my speech, but the governments and then the social council or committee should discuss what are the new professions that we have to find to put these people working, and how can we train them.
Sorry, this is great, Marcelino. I think this also might give us a nice link to one of the questions we've seen come in, actually. So long-term strategy and also the support to SMEs. And if I may just switch just quickly to the other speaker we have that can also maybe give some insights from the Commission. Jesus, I mean, I know that you are also looking at the situation of micro and small enterprises. And I just wondered if you could give any reflections there, just in listening to what Marcelino just mentioned. And also just one of the questions we have is also, could you maybe name a couple of skills that you also see are important for the future for workers to be able to embrace the digital transformation?
Yes, certainly I think, and we consider in the Commission, that is very pertinent to pay attention, to pay a particular attention to small and medium-sized companies, and especially to the micro and small ones, because as you know, many companies in the European Union and as very significant share of workers are working in this kind of companies. And we all know the specific circumstances and challenges. Also, for instance, in your sector, in the commercial sector, in the retail, for the micro enterprises, as Marcelino mentioned many times, there are family small family companies, and the lack of resources, the lack of expertise, the limited capacity to deal with these elements is certainly crucial, and it implies a challenge. No, that's why in our view, of course, the EU strategic framework on health and safety at work pays a lot of attention and put a very particular focus on micro and small companies. And in this context, we consider that the importance of professional organizations and other intermediaries, social partners, federations, is essential. You mentioned specific skills, I would say that we have to be very attentive to provide. I think it was Christel Delberghe who mentioned in her intervention the key importance of providing right skills to young people, and not only on the specific, let's say, technicalities of digital aspects, which is obvious, they need that, but also to other skills linked to the reality of the world of work, to the capacity of adaptation, to the flexibility, I would say, because, I talk as an older worker, in our generation, it was this paradigm of a job for the whole life. Now we all know that this is not realistic anymore. So this kind of skills like flexibility, like capacity of adaptation, we consider that is certainly pertinent to be better equipped in all sectors, but in particular for the small and micro enterprises. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. I think that brings us quietly to the end of our panel discussion. And I think it's been an incredibly interesting discussion to also leave on this note of flexibility, just willingness to change. Let's see what the future holds. So I think mainly one of the main objectives of the EU-OSHA campaign and the purpose of this workshop was to really bring awareness of the health and safety requirements as technology changes the way that we all work. I don't know if any have read the campaign guide, but I recommend that you do so. It is full of very interesting information. So if I may, I will just bring this webinar to a close by just handing back to Christel, our Director General at EuroCommerce, to say a few parting words.
Thank you very much, Lina, and a very warm thank you to all our partners on this webinar today. First of all, a very warm thank you for the amazing discussion and for the fantastic work that has been done by or is being conducted by EU-OSHA in creating understanding of the impact of technology, the risks and the fears, but also the important opportunities that are created by technologies in promoting healthier and safer workplaces. Retail and wholesale, we are with the 26 million people who work in our sector, with the first engine and the first employer in Europe, and we are in a unique position to help promoting the take-up of technology on the workplace. Just a few key takeaway messages from the conversation today. The first point, an important one, is that health and safety is critical. It is business critical for employers. A second point is that embracing technology is business critical for large and small companies, as we heard very much the focus on the small and the micro companies. So supporting all sorts of businesses through the journey to take up technology is essential. A third and important point is that overcoming the transformation brought about by the technology may raise various questions for both employers and employees. And this overcoming these concerns requires collaborative efforts and a central focus on social dialogue at all levels. Engaging with workers and their representatives, incorporating their feedback is crucial for understanding their concerns and bringing them along as part of the journey. By fostering open dialogue and involving workers in the discussions about new technology, we can better anticipate the changes, and together, in collaboration, we can develop solutions that support a smooth transition. It is also important to address the evolving needs of the companies as they adapt to technological change, and this includes that businesses have access to the necessary resources and the support to implement technologies effectively while maintaining a safe and supportive work environment. So as we have said throughout the whole webinar, the integration of new technologies offers both opportunities and challenges, and it is a collective responsibility to address these proactively while listening both to workers and employers. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for this excellent exchange today. As the slogan of the campaign notes, safety and health at work is everyone's concern. It's good for you. It's good for business. Thank you all for listening. Let's continue our joint work and embark on the journey together. I wish everyone, on that note, I wish everyone a very nice day. Thank you.